Yesterday, the new minister in the presidency, Mondli Gungubele, gave his first briefing since being appointed on the outcomes of a cabinet meeting held on Wednesday, the 1st of September. He urged people to continue exposing corruption, announced another extension of the country's state of disaster, and also snuck in a congratulatory message to Hollywood-based South African actress Thuso Mbedu for winning the Hollywood Critics Association's Breakout Award. He joins us now via Zoom. A very good morning to you, Minister Gungubele, and thanks for making the time.
Good morning to you, Desiree, and your viewership. Thanks for the opportunity.
So yesterday you announced an extension to the national state of disaster for the 15th of September. There seems to be confusion here with other reports talking about October. What's the actual date?
On my records, it's until October, unless there's something different. I don't know where it comes from.
Is that October?
Yes.
Okay. All right, we just needed to clarify that. Now, just in terms of your strategic planning as you come into the
remember when, in other words, where we sit again, relook at it. Yes, thank you.
Okay. So just in terms...
If for instance, my apology, if for instance, as the NCCC meets next week, there are new developments. It's a different issue.
So the date is October?
Yes.
All right, we just needed to clarify that. In terms of your strategic planning as you come into the ministry, are cabinet meetings and subsequent briefings still a useful tool to track progress in the implementation of the country's objectives, including service delivery?
Correct. As a newlywed, if I may use that terminology, when you get your new house, your new marital home, you quickly have to behave like a new one. Try to walk around to understand the house. That's what I've been trying to do since the date of appointment. The things are getting clearer and the challenges are getting clearer. The tasks are getting clearer. Actually, what I want to say up front, it's a huge responsibility in the sense that the presidency, which I'm a minister of, in my view, it's an infrastructure that must be so organized to ensure that the president has the country effectively.
So just to get into our conversation, I just want to bring this in, and it's not necessarily something you spoke about yesterday, but as we start Heritage Month, we get news of the closure of Liliesleaf, a place that honors South Africa's journey to democracy and the people who made it happen. How did this happen?
It's something that we're still going to follow, Desiree. It's not good news. And I believe the Minister of Sport, Arts and Culture is better placed to explain what interventions are being made. Where I'm sitting, we can't afford the death and the disappearance of Lily's farm in the history of this country. It will sicken our future going forward. Because for a healthier and a well-informed and a proper evolving future, you need the record properly of the history that informs it.
And on to this this public interest issue, the public has been calling for the public release of the Special Investigative Unit report into Digital Vibes, the investigation. And now we're told that in the interest of fairness and observation of the Promotion of Access to Information Act, the presidency has sent third-party notices to personnel or entities referred to in the report. Will this report ever see the light of day?
Listen, already there's a lot of activities, there's a lot of executions that are taking place on the basis of the report. What is more important is what is done about the report. I accept that releasing the report is important, but that step which the president is guiding the country on of releasing third-party notices, because it means the people who are directly affected by the report must have a look at the report and be able to make whatever statements or submissions they want to make before the final report is released. And I think principles of due process do dictate that.
So can you confirm for us, Minister Gungubele, that Nicholas Crisp has been appointed acting Director General in the Department of Health? Is Sandile Buthelezi on leave or suspended as a DG? And if he is suspended, is it related to the Digital Vibes investigation?
I prefer just that's not the matter I prepared myself for, that it be discussed with the Minister of Health. All I know is that there are developments in as far as that area is concerned, and the exact details of who is acting as we speak now, I prefer that you handle that with the Minister of Health.
Would you agree, though, that it's really an important matter at this time, like what happens to Crisp's responsibility of managing government's vaccination program? Is that not compromised if he's moved to be a Director General?
Well, the issue of capacity remains important. You wish situations of people acting in other people's position, leaving their original posts, is minimized to the best of our ability, especially during the pandemic. As a matter of principle, I agree with you that would not be the right thing. But in terms of the details, I wouldn't want to enter that space now, because it's not a matter really I apprise myself with.
So, Minister Gungubele, when you were a member of Parliament, you were vocal against corruption, and you continued that call yesterday for citizens to come forward. Now, the memory of Babita Deokaran is still very fresh in our memories, and people want to do the right thing, but they don't want to have to make the ultimate sacrifice in so doing. How is government strengthening the process and protection of whistleblowers?
The work of protecting the whistleblowers will always be intensified, strengthened at all material times. Remember, at a particular time when that protection was provided, there were particular circumstances. As circumstances change, there is going to be continuous adaptation, because we do not want to be found wanting in as far as that protection is concerned, because it's a key tool and material element of our pursuit against corruption. Remember, the issue of corruption is so critical that it undermines the ability of this country to unleash its economic energy, so that the socio-economic situation in which we find ourselves, especially of the poorest of the poor, is turned around. So this matter is a matter of national importance. It's a matter of life or death in this country. It's a matter that we can't be found wanting on.
Yeah. Now, as per the State of the Nation address of 2021, President Cyril Ramaphosa has prioritized defeating COVID-19 and accelerating economic recovery and related reforms, and fighting corruption and strengthening the state. How will all of this translate into your work?
As I said to you, the presidency, as it is organized, about 5 DGs, one other department, and monitoring and evaluation. And then it's NPC, National Planning Commission. This set the scene with regard to the framework that guides how we execute the programs of government. What does it mean? It means, for instance, if you go to DPME, that department is a department which is the eyes and ears with regard to analyzing the implementation, monitored to effect the results, both the ultimate and the pre-results that lead to the ultimate results. In other words, that infrastructure is an infrastructure that must be organized so that effectively the president's eyes and ears are well informed, so that at all material times he give effective leadership on informed basis. And for that to happen, that structure of DPME must be organized as such. I'm spending time now in the past 2 weeks. We're working with them to look at weaknesses, strengths and weaknesses, and try to review so that it is actually cut for that job.
Now, when the president announced your appointment along with changes to cabinet, another change that was announced was the moving of the State Security Agency into the presidency. How will you be interacting with this capability?
As you know, that the president has put the state security in the presidency under his watch. It means that structure directly reports to the president, but because of my position as a minister in the presidency, it also has a particular relationship with me because I must stay posted. But in practical day-to-day, it takes directives and it's led by the president.
Let's thank you for talking to us, Minister Gungubele, but are you able to give us a bit of a look ahead to the President's interaction in the National Assembly this morning, the expectations about the Q&A, and are there any announcements we can expect?
Not necessarily. The President will be dealing with the question as they are presented. There will be whatever creativity in terms of assisting, clarifying the questions will be based on the.
Okay, and just on a lighter, as we said at the beginning of the conversation, that you already now starting to hit the road running. So I suppose congratulations are in order for you. Liking that analogy you made at the beginning about being a newlywed. But you also gave some congratulations to Thuso Mbedu yesterday. What's kind of good news coming out for South Africa in terms of our arts and culture practitioners, how they're performing overseas? How's government reacting to this?
All those arts and culture, sports arts and culture, those global victories and achievements are positive news about the country. You know, sometimes we are dealing with issues of corruption, capture, and all those issues, which don't actually send good story about this country globally. When news of Mbedu and the junior athletics in Kenya, the Paralympics and Tajanas are trying to add in the positive stories through which we wish this country. And to that effect, what they are doing is wonderful for this country. Thank you very much.
Our line is not that great, but I just want to ask you one last question, just in terms, two actually. One is to ask you about the fact that your predecessor, Jackson Mthembu, was very celebrated, and do you feel overwhelmed stepping into his shoes?
Well, it's a huge responsibility. Let me make this confession, Desiree. This task is the biggest task of my life, and it's a task I want to face with humility, especially taking over from such a hardworking, humble, easygoing, somebody who would mix with anyone at any time, communicative, accessible. So to take over from such a person is a huge responsibility, but whenever I'm given a task in history, I've always gave it my best. This will be no different.
And then I want to ask you about the responsibility that I spoke about earlier of the president prioritizing the fight against COVID-19. We're getting reports now that infections are going through the roof. Deaths are high. Is the office prioritizing this fight, and how are you doing this?
From the point of communication and promoting the value and the significance of vaccination, GCIS is at work on this. We've asked them, and they've already started that work, just to look at the messaging that makes sure that we link with the entire society in dealing with all the misinformation, neutralize it, because the success of vaccination is critical for the economic recovery of this country. You know, this morning, I was watching, I think it's this channel, where I don't know whether it's an advert, where they say the socio-economic situation is of such a nature that there are families where kids are being asked to date for purpose of food. It talks to the socio-economy of the country and also the state of the economy. So this vaccination is not a luxury, it's not a game. It's a serious matter for the economic revival of this country to turn around that dire socio-economic situation. So GCIS is at work to intensify messages, significance of vaccination.
I'm really glad that you're talking about messaging, because a lot of times our viewers here on the show have complained about government not communicating sufficiently about what government is doing in terms of vaccinations and also in the fight against COVID-19. But we wish you well in your job, and thank you so much for talking to us this morning.
Thank you for the opportunity, dear. Thank you. Always welcome. Thank you very much.
The Minister in the Presidency, Mondli Gungubele.